There lies in the desert a metro area whose scorching heat is topped only by its immense legacy of sports failure. Their NBA team has gone 55 years without a championship. Its NFL team owns the largest championship drought in all of football. And its NHL franchise, well, they just suck. This is Phoenix, Arizona, the most cursed city in all of sports. The Arizona Cardinals, a franchise whose roots trace all the way back to Chicago, have long grappled with the elusive pursuit of a Lombardi. Despite flashes of success and supremely talented rosters, the team has faced a great many roadblocks in reaching the pinnacle of the NFL. In 1988, the franchise moved from St. Louis to Phoenix, seeking a fresh start in the desert, the geographical trajectory of most elderly folk. The relocation brought about a renewed sense of optimism, and the Cardinals gradually built competitive teams in the following decades after a playoff drought that went on for what felt like eons. Yeah, they really sucked. There was a renewed air of optimism when one of the desert's favorite sons was drafted by the Cards back in 1997. Jake Plummer was a sensation at nearby Arizona State, coming within one drive of a national championship his senior season with the Sun Devils. His second year in the NFL, Plummer and the Cardinals went on an improbable run. And by improbable, I mean they finished with the winning record at 9-7 and a playoff berth for the first time in 14 years. Two of their losses came against Dallas, who, believe it or not, used to share a division with the Cardinals. They were 6-7, but 3 straight wins by a combined 8 points vaulted them into the playoffs, getting into the tournament despite a point differential of -53. In the playoffs, they would meet those same Cowboys, a fading dynasty matched up with the new kids of the NFC. Arizona was a touchdown underdog, and they ended up winning by 13 on the road. They had done it. It was their first playoff victory since 1947. The following week, they lost by 20. That iteration of the Cardinals didn't last. A promising team went 6-10 a year later, then 3-13, as coach Vince Tobin got the boot, and Jake Plummer was sent to Denver. The pinnacle of the Cardinals' prolonged championship chase came back in 2008. Coached by Ken Whisenhunt and led by an aging grocery store employee and the occasional quarterback Kurt Warner, the team made a remarkable run to Super Bowl 43 after finishing the regular season, again with a record of 9-7. Facing the battle-hardened Steelers, the Cardinals were the sentimental favorite against an organization who already had a ring for each finger on one hand. And God knows Captain Fat Fuck didn't need any more jewelry on those dirty digits of his. The Cards could have grabbed the lead at the end of the first half if not for the most remarkable pick six in postseason history. They battled back in the game time and time again, but were undone by the toe tapping Santonio Holmes. Since that Super Bowl appearance, the Cardinals have faced several missed opportunities to return to championship contention, knocked out in 2009 by the eventual champion Saints, but they were rounding out as an elite unit in the mid-2010s. Carson Palmer had regained his form, but an ACL tear effectively ended their chances in 2014, and a year later they were boat raced in the NFC title game by the Panthers. The Cardinals have never been the same, whether it was spending an early first-round pick on Josh Rosen and trusting their franchise with Cliff Kingsbury or trying to build a team around Kyler Murray, and they have quite frankly come up short. That pun was very much intended. The Phoenix Suns, a franchise founded in 1968, have carved out a storied history in the NBA, marked by thrilling highs and heart-wrenching lows. Despite consistently fielding competitive teams, the Suns have yet to secure an NBA championship. The Suns entered the league with a bang, making the playoffs in just their second season. Led by legendary players like Connie Hawkins and Paul Westphal, the team quickly gained a reputation for fast-paced, exciting basketball. The Cinderella Suns of 1975, coached by John McCloud, shocked the league by reaching the NBA Finals, but ultimately fell short against the Boston Celtics in 6 games. In the early 1990s, the Suns experienced a resurgence with the acquisition of the round mound of rebound, Charles Barkley, as a trade to the Suns was way better to him than San Antonio. The 1992-93 season was particularly memorable as Barkley led the Suns on an NBA best 62-20 record and a trip to the NBA Finals against the Bulls dynasty. Despite a valiant effort, the Suns lost in 6 games, leaving fans to wonder what might have been had they not been pitted against greatness. The mid-2000s brought a new era of excitement to Phoenix with the arrival of two-time MVP Steve Nash. Under coach Mike D'Antoni's 7 seconds or less offense, the Suns became an offensive juggernaut. And yes, that's how I advertise myself on Hinge. Nash, Amari Stoudemire, and Sean Marion formed a formidable trio, consistently making deep playoff runs. However, they faced fierce competition in the eternally loaded Western Conference and fell short of the championship. The Suns had a close call in 2010. Led by Nash and a resurgent Stoudemire, Phoenix reached the Western Conference Finals against the Los Angeles Lakers. The series went 6 games, and the Suns were just 2 victories away from the last step. But they couldn't overcome Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, losing a tightly contested battle. In recent years, the Suns have undergone a transformation, led by emerging star Devin Booker and the steady leadership of Chris Paul, which eventually gave way to an A-lister in Kevin Durant. The 2021 season saw them make an inspiring run to the big dance, but the Milwaukee Bucks ultimately secured the championship in 6 games. Even after adding Durant, the Suns failed to make a dent in the Western Conference playoffs and continue to wander in the desert, forever ringless. But that doesn't compare to the haplessness of their NHL team. The Phoenix Coyotes, known now as the Arizona Coyotes, have navigated a, suffice to say, tumultuous past since joining the NHL in 1996. Founded in Winnipeg in 1972 as the Jets, the franchise relocated to Arizona and became the Phoenix Coyotes. The move was met with excitement and hope for a fresh start, with the team playing its home games at the newly constructed Gila River Arena in Glendale. Early successes included playoff appearances in the late 90s, but the Coyotes faced difficulties in sustaining their early momentum. They grappled with ownership instability, facing financial troubles that cast a shadow over the franchise. The NHL assumed control of the team in 2009, adding a layer of uncertainty to the Yotes' future in Arizona. Attempts to find a stable ownership group have proved challenging, if not downright impossible, impacting the team's ability to make long-term plans and invest in player development. The threat of relocation for the Coyotes is constant. Efforts to secure a new arena and solidify the team's presence in Phoenix have faced numerous obstacles. After 5 straight postseason appearances at the end of the 20th century, Arizona was absent from the playoffs for 6 straight years. And from 2012 to the present, the Coyotes have made just 1 playoff appearance, a first-round knockout at the hands of the Avs in 2020. Even worse, they're playing their games in a tiny 5,000-seat college arena, waiting for either a new one or to be relocated, truly sitting in Dante's first circle of hell. There is just one championship in modern history of Arizona sports, and it belongs to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Snakes are one of the most recent additions to Major League Baseball. Their inception took place in 1998, and it didn't take them long to hit the ground running. Or, slithering. Their first year in 1998 was spent getting their feet underneath them. Or bellies, whatever. But by just their second year in the league, they finished with 100 wins and collected their first NL West title. By 2001, they were about as stacked as a team gets in the modern MLB. Names like Randy Johnson, Curt Schilling, Mark Grace, Matt Williams, Tony Womack, Steve Finley, and Luis Gonzalez. After edging out the Cardinals and Braves, they found themselves in one of the most dramatic back-and-forth World Series of all time. A 2-0 lead quickly became a 3-2 deficit, losing a trio of games by a combined 3 runs in New York, an atmosphere that was beyond charged in the late fall of 2001. Arizona achieved the first and only of their major sports championships, not with a bang, but with a bloop. It's almost fitting that their one triumph was, in some way, something of a mistake. The Diamondbacks are fresh off of a World Series loss after an improbable run, their first return to the Fall Classic since they won it all in 2001. The Snakes missed the playoffs entirely for long stretches, droughts of 4, 3, and 5 years. In the years they did make the playoffs, the Diamondbacks often left as quickly as they got there. In 2007, they reached the NLCS, but were swept by the Rockies despite holding advantage. In the 9 years after their early title, the NL has become increasingly competitive, with strong teams like the Cardinals, Phillies, and Giants consistently making deep playoff runs. The D-backs just simply couldn't compete with the big boys. And even with the promise of that young team getting so painfully close, the odds are very much against them returning. In many ways, the 2023 Diamondbacks were something of a metaphor for all of Phoenix sports. Fun, flashy, and oh so close. The cursed city of almost wages on.